To do a bench press, there's a few things we need to consider before we actually begin the movement. And one of those things is how we set up our body on the bench, because we don't just lie flat onto the bench. There's a few things we want to try and do. You use your hands to pull your body into the correct position. This is how we want to set up before we unrack the bar. So I have on purposely arched my lower back here. I have pulled my shoulder blades underneath my back, and I have depressed my shoulder blades slightly as well. So I've pulled my shoulders down in the direction of my hips. So you use your toes to push into your hips, which then push into your shoulders to create this arched back position. Once you have then got this stability, the next thing we need to talk about is the width of our grip. And that is actually dictated by where the bar makes contact on our chest. So at this point here where the bar is in contact with the chest, what we want to do is make sure that there is an almost vertical line. I'm not quite set up perfectly here, I'll admit. An almost vertical line between the knuckles and the elbows. I'm actually overly tucked in. My elbows are too narrow here. And if I was doing this with load, my elbows would naturally be a bit further out into this position. But you want your knuckle vertically loaded above your elbow. That will allow the strongest position for this part of your body. And from the bottom position, you can see that this is the same width, and this is vertically from the middle knuckle down towards the elbow. So this is set up correctly from this angle. However, a small critique I will make about myself is that I am over tucked with my elbows here. But once the grip width is established, you then unrack the bar, and making sure your eyeballs are set underneath the bar, not your shoulders or your neck. This is so that when you take the bar out of the rack and you move it away, so that your knuckles are directly above your shoulders to start with, when you lower down, then you're not going to hit the J hooks here with the barbell. So that's why we set up our eyeballs underneath the bar to begin with, and this is the start point. The knuckles are directly loaded over the shoulders. The wrist is strong, so I don't let my wrist completely flop backwards. We want to try and have a tight grip and stack the wrist correctly. This is a stronger position because this allows the load to effectively go into the elbow and the shoulder better. My shoulders are retracted, my shoulders are depressed, so my shoulders are pushed down towards my hips as well. That activates our lats and it makes our whole back musculature nice and sturdy as a nice base of support for us to press from. As I take a breath in, I then depress my shoulders down and push my ribs up towards the sky. The way I like to think about it is I'm trying to raise my ribs up towards where the bar is as the bar is coming down towards my chest. And what we want to try and do is evenly spread the load between our chest muscles, our shoulder muscles, and our triceps. And so a 45-degree angle outwards on the elbow is what we want to do. So if we look again from the bottom, this outwards movement of the elbow is what we want. We don't want the elbow too close to the side of the body because that would be too much shoulder position. We don't want the elbow too far out to the side because that would be too much chest and not enough shoulder. So this 45-degree out, if I was looking at myself vertically from the roof, that's what we should be seeing. One of the common mistakes that people make when performing the bench press is they lower down correctly and they lower all the way to the chest, which is an important factor because you want to train your full range of motion. But when they press up, they let their shoulders come up towards their ears and they let their shoulder blades come out from underneath the bench. You want to try and make sure that here you keep your shoulder blades retracted so that you don't have to push the bar any further into the air. And one of the other things that this does by setting up in this way is it lets the shoulder sit into its socket a little bit more stably with less opportunity for moving around uncontrollably when you add weight onto the bar.